Namaskar. Thank you for joining us here on News Night. The Prime Minister will host the first India Central Asia Summit on the 27th of January, the day after Republic Day. It will be a virtual summit. Presidents of Kazakhstan, Kyrgyz Republic, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan and Uzbekistan will be participating. We'll be looking at the importance of the extended neighborhood in India's foreign policy. To throw light on this and put it into context, we have with us Ashok Sajanhar, former senior diplomat, and Professor Swaran Singh, foreign affairs expert. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for being with us. Professor Swaran Singh, connectivity is crucial in taking the relationship forward. But in terms of human resource development, let's look at some of India's strengths. I mean, India has personnel, we have people, they have resources, plenty of resources. I mean, could there be a meeting of minds in terms of, India's strengths are well known across the world in terms of IT and cybersecurity, these kind of issues. Pharmaceuticals now, we are the pharmacy of the world. So these are areas which can further be tapped and definitely topical at the current time of COVID.
I think, Mark, India will have to really look at what is the advantage India in engaging these five Central Asian republics. And you mentioned education sector, pharmaceutical, IT industry. These are some of the interesting areas. And connectivity. Connectivity is already under stress because of this India's certain clout of American sanctions if we work on Chabahar areas.
That's right.
And Taliban being there now. So there are some limitations that India faces. And compared to other actors, so India will have to see compared to Russia, which has a very strong CSTO, security relationship. China has an enormous trade and investment in the region. Pakistan again has sort of signed with trade and transit agreement with all the five. Where does India stand into this? So I think in that sense, India will have to focus on issues like India is really working at the global level on terrorism, on radicalization, on refugees. Those are going to be important issues for Central Asian republics to engage in India. So in that sense, the regional security dialogue is where India will be really taking forward the relationship with these five countries.
Yes.
Other than it's also important to see that multilateralism is a strong forte of India. So whether it is part of Shanghai Cooperation Organization or in several other regional organizations, you notice India is now not only talking of Act East, it's talking of Indo-Pacific, it's talking of Act Far East, it's talking of extended neighborhood. So a very, redefining of India's foreign policy framework in which India wants to locate and engage this extended neighborhood. So in that kind of conceptual redefinition of what India stands for and what it seeks to do is where these Central Asian republics would find India very attractive. India may not be coming up to the mark right now, but Central Asian republics have always been looking at India as an alternative to China and Russia because they don't want to be exceedingly dependent on China, and therefore they're looking at India as an alternative source of energy exports and other kind of engagements with the region. So one will notice that kind of attraction that they have in engaging India, which is visible in last few years. And I think the summit is again to mark that strong relationship and strong interest from both sides.
Professor Swaran Singh, that there are lots of convergences and our relationship is very historic and there are traditional linkages. But, the Central Asia has been seen as a bridge between Asia and Europe. And India is a strong emerging power within Asia and in the region. So in the context of the new state of play, I mean, how do you see it? And with the bloc that Afghanistan and Pakistan, since they come in between in terms of contiguity, cause to this relationship?
Thank you, Mark. I think you mentioned the new state of play.
Yes.
That is a significant frame in which one has to look at the relationship, which is taking a very different form. This year also marks 30th anniversary of diplomatic recognition of India of these five Central Asian republics. And in last 30 years, there has been an incremental growth in building partnerships in several sectors, whether it is security, education, energy, culture, cyber security, connectivity, space cooperation, tourism, hydrocarbons, uranium, so many things.
Yes.
But as you mentioned, the new frame, and I think in that new frame, it is the sudden exit of NATO and American forces from Afghanistan, coming back of Taliban 2.0, which completely changes the focus now on regional security and mutually accepted consensus on threats that both Central Asia and India are facing in their backyard from Taliban, And threats are now focusing on terrorism, on refugees, on narcotics, on radicalization. So these are new immediate areas which are of concern that I think both sides need to really build consensus and work together. We already know, according to United Nations, 5.7 million Afghans are now in these countries, and UN is separately asking, UN Refugees Council is separately asking for humanitarian aid to those Afghans living in these Central Asian republics now. So that, Afghanistan centered regional security is the glue now which will see India and Central Asian republics working together. They have already seen the regional security dialogue, which was convened by India's national security advisor, and of course India Central Asia dialogue, which was
Right.
foreign minister dialogue. So India and Central Asia is already converging on these immediate concerns that they face together. And of course, this is also definitely related to long term, because everyone knows in the world,
Yes.
half of world's energy imports will ultimately be to China and India, and China is already engaged with this region.
Right.
And India will also engage in terms of its energy needs. Energy is going to drive India's development and military power in future. So in that sense, immediate concerns, as you mentioned, in new framework are important, but they will also lay foundations to build stronger relationship for the future national interests of India.
We leave it there. Thank you very much, Ambassador Sajjan Har and Professor Swaran Singh, for putting this important meeting into context. The meeting to take place on the 27th of this month, the first India Central Asia Summit that Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be hosting virtually.